Cool, Tammy. Thanks a lot for that. For those of you that don't know me, one of the four founders of PaySpace, it's myself, George, Warren, and Bruce. Most of us come from a techie background. I particularly am crazy about technology. It's my number one passion. Back in the day when we started, my little bio over there is pre-PaySpace days. But my real claim to fame is that I started the first line of code on PaySpace. I still remember it was around 2002. And the four founders got together, and our vision was to build a global payroll and HR system. And we wanted to build an easy one at that, a highly configurable, simple cloud payroll solution. And we all sat around a table and we thought, well, where do we start? Well, we need to start with a company name, and we dragged the company name on, and we thought, what's next? Let's do the registration number. I suppose we need a VAT number as well. And then we went to bed that night, and 18 years later, we've built this wonderful South African business, this cloud-based technology business. And what I want to share with you guys is I want to share a little bit of our past to see how we got to where we are today, and to show you what we've been busy little bees in our Cape Town dev department, and how we got to this point. So anyways, like I said, we started developing PaySpace in 2002. We spent about 4.5 years in research and development. We didn't go live with the product until it was stable. That was around 2006, 2007. We took on our first client. And at that stage, it was still the four of us. And the four of us, we started then getting more employees. We opened up a little support department. Then we got more developers involved in the business, starting off as a small SME, and we gradually grew. And the four of us would transition in different departments. The four founders, we were all developers at one stage. Then we became salesmen. Then we were the support department ourselves. And that's probably been one of our biggest strengths to date, is we've been very hands-on in the business. I don't know if any of you have seen that show called Undercover Boss. And it's someone, a CEO of a business, and they go and they get involved in the ground roots of the business, and they learn so much in doing that. And it's one of our strengths and something that we'll always continue to do. But anyways, as the business grew and as it transitioned, we started putting our emphasis on growing a business. And we left the technology because the technology worked and the technology was great. And about 3.5 to 4 years ago, we had to take a little bit of a back seat of just growing the business and have a look at an aerial picture of the entire business. And when we did that, we segmented all the different departments into our little buckets, and we put a big emphasis on our technology stack. There's a saying that our HR ladies coined, and it's that you don't know what you don't know. We've built the technology stack. We thought it was great, but we needed an outside party to tell us if it was really great or not. And we went out and we found a company called Cast. They're a global IT company, and they one of the services that they offer is they actually audit your code. So we had our code audited. We were holding thumbs. We weren't sure how it was going to go because we thought it was good. And this is on the classic version that all of you hopefully will use or are using, and you're well familiar with. And it came back, and we got 2 thumbs up. They said it passed. So we thought, okay, let's just go through the details and let's check how this audit truly is. And there was a South African guy that was involved in the audit. He had immigrated quite a while ago. And I still remember his words to us with the 2 thumbs up was, he used Afrikaans, wanted to show off a little bit. And he said, "Dis glad nie sleg nie." And for those of you in Africa, that's Afrikaans. It means it's not bad. And we thought, good, we'll take not bad and we'll take a pass, but that's not what we set out to do. PaySpace didn't want to build an ordinary cloud-based payroll system. We wanted to build an extraordinary cloud payroll system. And that's where we made the decision that we either got to upgrade our current tech stack or we have to write a new tech stack. And we decided to go with writing the new tech stack. And at that moment in time, our development department wasn't bigger than about 8 developers. And we thought we can upskill the current developers, or we can get the best of the best, and we can do this properly. And that's what we chose to do. And that's what I'm going to showcase to you today. That's a little bit of the history. I'm going to start off. I'm going to ask you to take in the beginning of the presentation, take your payroll and HR hats off and put on your techie hats, and let's get really technical. I'm going to try not to dive too deep in getting too technical. It is my passion. The other day, my wife said to me, she doesn't know if blood flows through my veins or clouds flow through my veins. It's either that or my head was in the clouds. But either way, she mentioned clouds, so I was happy. And let's tell you how we got to, or what technologies we're using to build the PaySpace of today and of tomorrow. Some of you might be familiar with the new system. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Just going back to the previous slide there, sorry. The code name that we have for the internal project was Venuta. So if you hear me talking of the words Venuta or NextGen, it's all the same system. So what we did was we went and we took the years of running our classic system, took what the customers were looking for, took all the mistakes that we might have made on that system to build this new NextGen system using absolutely cutting edge technology with the best talent. If you have a look, I'm just going to go into, so that was a project that we started 3 years ago. And in doing so, it's not just about upgrading your technology stack. It's also around improving your processes, improving your policies, improving your procedures. And through all of this, you get these little spin-off divisions within our development department. I like to compare it to a show that I was watching the other day. It was the best restaurants in the world. And they covered this one restaurant in the UK. It's the best restaurant in the UK for 2 years running. It's called Clume, and it's 3 hours outside of London. And the guy told his story of how he started as a small little startup, and people would travel 3 hours out of London and they would be grumpy when they got there because of the traffic. And he gradually grew this business, and only lately did he get this award, the first award of being the best restaurant in the UK. And I was trying to see what his secret ingredient was. And the one thing that stuck out for me the most was he had 2 kitchens. He had his main kitchen where he obviously cooked the food for all the patrons. And then he had another little kitchen. And every day he would take one of the chefs and he would plonk them in this kitchen. And their sole job was to just innovate and come up with new foods. And that's exactly what happened with PaySpace in this rewrite. We started attracting all this talent. And we formed these little pockets of kitchens whose jobs it was every day was just to come up with innovative ideas. And some of those ideas you are going to see spin-off. So that's what I mean by it's not just about a rewrite. It's about improving your processes and coming up with absolutely world-class processes. And throughout this process, we came up with a migration to Microsoft Azure. So there's 2 projects that have happened. The one is the 3-year rewrite on PaySpace, and the other one is the migration to Microsoft Azure. We've been busy with this project for 1.5 years. I'll get back to the rewrite. I just want to talk a little bit about this and what you can expect coming as well. What is Microsoft Azure? It's a data center. It's a global data center, a global network that Microsoft has built for companies like us and even companies like you to host backups on or to host the application on. And one of the main reasons that we needed to move here was the 2 S's. I call them the 2 S's. It's scalability and it's security. You as clients or potential clients or business partner trust us to keep your data secure. And that's what we want to do. And moving to Microsoft Azure will just make our lives a hell of a lot easier in doing so. So currently our data is hosted on our own servers at a data center in Midrand. We've got around 5 supercomputers, and these have grown through the times as we've needed to scale up within PaySpace in the last couple of years. And it gets to a point, if you break it down, we host on something just like you're on your PCs right now. It's just it's a lot bigger. And if you have a look, you can break down a PC to three components. It's normally you're going to run out of memory. Your PC starts running a bit slow. You're going to run out of hard drive space. You don't have enough storage on your PC. Or potentially your CPU is going to come and you need to upgrade. Well, it's going to reach its end of life and you need to get a new CPU, in which case you'll probably buy a whole new PC. And the similar thing happens in our data center. Once we start getting up to those thresholds, we need to upgrade those PCs. We need to keep the environment secure. We need to keep the hardware and firmware secure. We need to monitor and test all of that. And ultimately, we're a technology company that wants to develop software. We don't want to get into the hardware game. And this is one of our decisions to move to Microsoft Azure. We no longer wanted to maintain our own servers, and we wanted to be absolutely scalable in our growth. Over the last couple of months, we've started reaching a little bit of our threshold. We've had to shift a couple of things out just for 2 days of the month. And this is what Azure is going to help us with. If we wanted to get a new PC in our current environment, we'd have to go and buy a new PC. We would need to shift stuff around. There might even be a little bit of a downtime between those shifting of resources. And when we move to Azure, that's all a thing of the past. Another thing is our speed to deliver our solution. Azure makes it that much easier for us to deploy real time. Currently, when we release our code in our live environment, we do that on a Saturday evening. Every Saturday night, we're an extremely agile company on our releases. We're always cooking up something new in our little kitchens. We want to release that as soon as possible. And I'll get through that a little bit later after the slide on how we do that. But if we want to release it, there might be 5 minutes of downtime on releasing that on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock. With Azure, that's all a thing of the past when we move. Where that'll happen real time, and the end clients will experience absolutely zero downtime. I just want to show you a little graph that I put together on what this whole Azure looks like from our perspective. Everybody in the company will have this. This is a snapshot. It's a dashboard of our testing environment, which we do host in Azure currently. And what I did, if you have a look at the bottom left-hand graph, is I did this last week, Thursday. I simulated 6,000 people hitting our website at the exact same time. And you can see the spike in this, where my mouse is right now. And you can put this horizontal line on that spike, and you can see how all the other services are coping at that moment in time. And we've also automated this to be one further on Azure to say, if at any point in time our memory starts running at above capacity, which we've put at 65% right now, why don't you just quickly spin up another instance for us so that the clients experience absolutely no disruption of our services, which is a very cool thing that we can do in Azure. And that speaks towards the scalability buckets that I was telling you about. Very excited about this move. Very cool thing. It allows us to be more proactive rather than reactive in the scaling of our services. So I thought that's just a cool dashboard. Everybody in the company will have access to this. So if somebody phones into the call center or comes in via one of our support channels, the call center can even have a look at this and see how all the resources are running. They can check if the problem exists as an environment as a whole, or they can see if it maybe exists and there's a problem in the page that you're just navigating to. So that's one of the things that we're using to coin that term, future-proofing your payroll and HR. Extremely excited about it. It's been a year and a half we've been doing it for a year and a half. We've migrated everything as far as DevOps goes. DevOps stands for development operations. Believe it or not, getting an idea from a seed to a full-grown plant. It's quite a process. I'm going to cover it later, and you can see how our software development lifecycle works. But this is going live on the 8th of August, so we got one more month on our environment in Midrand. What does this mean for you as a client as far as when we change over on the 8th of August? Absolutely nothing. Some IP addresses might change, but that has absolutely no impact on your life. Okay, so that's our move to Microsoft Azure. It also allows us when we go to new territories. We're a global business. We're expanding to South America, which we'll cover a little bit more of tomorrow. It allows us to open up another data center quite quickly and get everything speaking to each other. There's a lot of data centers like this. Microsoft Azure is one of them. It's the one that we've chosen. We're a Microsoft shop at the end of the day. Our technology stack is all in Microsoft. Microsoft speaks better with Microsoft. You might have heard of some called Amazon Web Services. IBM have just opened up theirs. Huawei's opened up theirs. In fact, their first data center outside of China was in Johannesburg. They've opened up one in Sao Paulo now. They're also going to South America. You might have heard of Google Cloud. So these are all the data centers that you probably have heard of and where the world is going from a hosting perspective. It allows us to offload all of that security, all those DDoS attacks to what Microsoft does best, and that's data centers as well. It's a big part of their roadmap. It's a big part of their strategy. That picture that you actually see on that slide is from one of their data centers. I think it's in Dublin. And there you can see they're just monitoring all things security. So it's one less thing for us to worry about and put that on what we love doing, and that's innovation. All right, so that's our move over to Microsoft Azure. Another thing that stemmed out of this rewrite is more improved quality control. So our team of developers on the classic system at the time, 4.5 years ago, we weren't more than 8. And now we're sitting on well over 30. And throughout that process, if a developer changes anything or something changes, there's a strong chance it might have an effect on something else. So we needed to come up with a way that ensured the best continuity of services. And through all of our environments, we needed to check at every single touch point that nothing would break. So things would go from a concept. Let's stick to something like, for example, a company car. If we needed a new field in a new country, it could be in Ghana. Ghana needed to measure your odo, for example, at the beginning of every year. So we needed the odometer on your recurring components, your company car. A developer would go and develop that, and it would roll out to what we call a UAT environment. That's a user acceptance testing environment. The developer would make that change in his own little branch. He would check it in just to the UAT environment. It wouldn't have anything to do with production yet, and that might break something else. So what we need to do is we need to automate that testing, not particularly of that little something, but of the entire system. So we use a product called Test Cafe. I'm going to demo it. I'm going to demo it to you now. That developer would check that code in against the UAT branch. That UAT branch would build the entire PaySpace, and then it would deploy it to a pre-UAT branch or to a pre-UAT environment. And in that environment, we would run these automated tests on. And I'm going to show you how they work right now. I'm just going to quickly go to the next slide. I've taken a video of it here. It doesn't. Just let it load. Can I just get a heads up if everybody can see the video over here?
Well, it's busy loading, Clyde.
Okay. Do you see the play button?
Yes.
Okay. So what this is, this is in our deployment process. This would run that person's the tester's code that he's written for this particular check-in. I'm just going to play to the point, and then I'm going to pause. Just let me run a little bit more. So this simulates an end user logging in and doing a certain set of whatever it is that he might be doing. In this particular example, he's simulating logging a claim. So if you have a look, it automatically loads. This is not a user doing this. This is a computer doing this that we've programmed to do. This particular person, we've simulated that person's email address and password. And I'm going to pause over here. On the right-hand side, you can see this little command prompt window. And it's written here, this is the create claim process. And we've got hundreds of these tests that will run. And at any point in time, if this test fails, it'll go back to the developer that checked in that piece of code, and it'll tell him that something's failed. And that won't get released to our user acceptance testing environment. So we're not even in production yet. We don't want any bugs going out to our UAT environments, because then we're going to be wasting the time of our testers. We don't want our testers constantly running into the same headaches. I'm just going to carry on playing over here. And within the create claims process, there's lots of many little steps. So the first step that needs to be done is, can I actually navigate to the claim screen? A developer might have accidentally deleted one of the menu items. So that's the first tick. I don't know if you can see clearly, but just right underneath the create the claim, there's the ESS can access claims. It's got a little green tick box next to it. Tick, the first one's done. Now it's going to go to the next step in it. Can I select the components in the drop down? Tick, that's done. I can create the claim. Then it's going to go to the next one, and it's going to say, can I submit? Does it validate the ODO meeting correctly? Yes, it does. Tick, we've done the next one. And that's where I've stopped this, because it carries on and on and on. And we've got hundreds of these that run. So that's one of our QC processes that we've refined, and it's saved our life on many occasions. Now, when you're done with that, just want to go to the next one. Sorry, I just need to get back to the previous slide. There you go. So when we're done with all of that, then that happens in every single environment. We've got 4 different environments, and before we go to production, it'll happen in our test environments, which some of you have got access to. And the same thing, we'll try and do a release because it's a different branch and there's different actions that could happen over there. We'll try and check it in against that. We'll do the release. If anything fails, it'll go back to the development departments and we won't release that set of code. Cool quality test, quality control that happens. I want to split this PowerPoint, this particular slide in two. That's what happens on the websites that you guys deal with and that you see on a daily basis. Then we get the compliance testing that we came up with. This is our black box testing process. And what happens over here, we've got the legislation for over 40 African countries. And if you look at a time like COVID hits, there's a lot of the countries that would have changed their legislation to support companies, help them stay afloat. So there were a lot of changes that needed to take place from the dev departments and the compliance department side. And the life cycle that happens over there, a change will come through. Our compliance department will draw up a spec. They'll send it off to the development department. They would then need to make a change. But if you simply go and have a look at a screen like our company settings screen, we've got I haven't counted them, but we've probably got over 50 settings on that page. And each setting could have a different action on something else. So to test every single scenario for every single client starts becoming very, very difficult. Because we've got one database, we've tried to make it as easy as possible. And I think we've succeeded in doing that. So what will happen with, for example, let's say an ETR change comes out and we spec the change and it goes to the development department. They will then make the ETR change, similar process to the first one. They'll check it in a UAT environment. But just before they do that, we have what's called a black box calculation. And what this does is it takes a snapshot of our live environment. We will isolate a few testing scenarios. Sometimes it'll be 1,000 employees of different companies. Sometimes it'll be 2,000, depending on what the test case is. And we will run a simulation of what the results were before we made the change and what the results were after we've made the change. And then we'll do a comparison on that. And the developer and the compliance team together will then need to go through every single example and check that we are happy with all the changes that happen, because one change might have a knock-on effect. And this spreadsheet is what's outputs at the end of the day. So I want to show you in this particular example, this client's details, it's in Gambia. This is the key. Everything's just a number at the end of the day. We mask the data. So we're never working within a company or we're never working with a particular employee. In this process, everything's just a number. So this particular employee here, the taxable income, this was what we call the feature branch. This was the figure of taxable income after the change. This was what the value would be in our production environments. And this is the difference. So the developer and your compliance department will come and have a look and mark each line item green. And normally they have a knock-on effect. So if the first line item is corrected, then the rest of them will fall into place. Our ultimate goal is one of two things. We're trying to get this spreadsheet blank so that there's no changes, or the changes will all be justified changes as a result set of the changes that came in from the compliance department. So that's another little QC program that we've got going right now to help with our compliance testing. Very cool process, has helped us a hell of a lot, and just shows you the power of the cloud. It's something that on-prem companies would, or on-prem solutions would battle to do, because we've got one database to do that. And that's our quality control processes. Just gonna skip this and go to the slide. Okay, this is just some of the cool ideas that have come out and are live right now. And this is as a result of our rewrite that started 3 years ago. So one thing that you never cater for, you never think about when you start with a rewrite, is all the little spin-offs that you can get. Just by being on the latest tech stack, it enables you to build new little solutions quite easily. You would have seen that in the last 3 years on the classic system, we haven't rolled out many changes. That's because all of our attention's been on the NextGen system. And within that, we're slowly starting to roll out new modules. And you'll see this is going to get a lot more aggressive as time goes on, and we've stabilized NextGen. Two cool things that have come out of the rewrite is our single sign-on. If your company gets audited by an external party, you've got to abide by your username and password rules, whatever it might be. We automatically do that in PaySpace with because we're ISO 27001 certified. But that auditor might come to us and say, what is your password policies? Do you check for more than 8 characters? Do you check for certain characters in the username and password? And we've got to answer those questions. You've got to get those questions asked as the company, and the auditors got to do that as well. So that's 3 people's time. That seems like it's wasted. With single sign-on, we can eliminate that. We'll actually, when your employees sign on to PaySpace, we will use whatever application that you're using to do the single sign-on, and then you manage all of your password policies, and it's one place to log on. Cool, not to remember 2 sets of password. So that's something that's come out. If you weren't aware of it, please chat to our sales team. They can help you out with enabling that within your company. I would highly recommend you go that route. Very, very cool module. We use 2 processes to do that. It's called OpenID and OAuth. But technical, your techies will know what that means. Don't worry about it. Those are the 2 most globally used methodologies to do single sign-on at this moment in time, and we support both of those. So that's something that's come out. That normally would have taken us a couple of months in the classic system. I think we rolled that out in very, very quick time. The next one that I want to speak about, which took only 1 week's development, was a cool thing that we launched last week, officially last week. Another one that came out, and it was a quick thing to do because of the NextGen rewrite, was this working from home. I was sitting behind my desk, and I'm attending Teams meetings from morning till night. And a lot of the time I wouldn't know where people are. And we've got that wonderful leave calendar in our ESS module, which most of you might or might not be familiar with. And I wanted to bring that into Microsoft Teams. So we went out and we spent a week developing it. We spent, I think, 1 hour seeing if it was capable. And again, because of NextGen, it was quite easy actually. Rolled it out in a week, and it took Microsoft 3 weeks to approve because it exists in their App Store. And they finally approved it, I think, at the beginning of last week. So for those of you that aren't aware, go and tell all of your employees about it. So we've got the leave calendar that exists within the Microsoft Teams app. Just another thing that you don't have to log into PaySpace. You can just click, it becomes another app on your right-hand side. You can pin it, log in over there, and you can, at one click of a button, see who's on leave within the company. We're not stopping there. We've actually pulled the plug to, we've pulled the trigger to go to the next module and build a whole dashboard that you're familiar with our ESS module on. You can apply for leave. You can submit claims. Soon you will be able to. You can approve claims, approve leave, and it'll go through the normal workflows that you might be used to over there. So we've built that little Teams app in pretty much record timing. Another enabler. So at the end of the day, this spreadsheet, or sorry, this slide, it might be 3 now, but this time next year it'll be a lot of little tiles with all the things that we would have rolled out as the world changes. That middle Teams one we probably would have left for a while, but COVID has almost forced us to write it to add value to you, the end clients, and we'll continue to do that. So we'll be a lot more agile in rolling out new modules or new apps like that. Another cool one that we've got on the right hand side there. It's our new support portal within the NextGen product. So when you log in, we've put it at the bottom left. You might have not seen it yet. It's coming. It'll be there in the next 2 weeks. So when you click on that, you will have real-time support. There'll be a link to getting started video guides on PaySpace NextGen. There will be PDF downloads on helping you get started as well. There will be a tab directly to our knowledge base, which our training department is busy with. There will be a ticketing tab where you can go and see all the tickets you could have logged with our support departments. You can log tickets there as well. And for me, the most important new one is a live chat directly to our support department, stopping the thread of those constant back and forth tickets with the support department. So extremely excited about that. And again, we could do that as a result of the NextGen rewrite. So another reason why you should be excited to move over is foster support. All right, so that's just the path on how we've got to today, how the NextGen has enabled us to enhance new modules for tomorrow coming out of our little kitchen, makes our little innovation hub, makes their lives a lot easier to come up with new ideas in. So I've been talking about this rewrite quite a bit. That's the path and how we got here. I think it's time to dive in and actually show you the product. We sat for a while, we came up, we wanted an intuitive user interface. We needed it to adapt to any device. You can do your payroll on on your iPad, on your laptop, on any screen that you want. You can do it sitting at an airport, and it adjusts to that. That's the way the world's going, speaking towards Davi's digitization. That's exactly what we had in mind when we started it. We wanted everybody to work from anywhere, and we wanted it to be extremely easy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and forth between my slides and logging in. All right, so on the landing page, when you get here, these are the dashboards that we've come up with. We wanted to give all the information to you, give you a bird's eye view of what's happening in your business. Any banking detail changes that might have happened. These are chatting to clients. These are some of the ideas that have come out. These ones that exist on the dashboard that you currently see, that's not where we're stopping. We are carrying on enhancing them. We're hoping to get to a point where you can configure your own dashboards. We call these little widgets on the dashboard. You can drag and drop those with time. You can't do it now. You can drag and drop those onto your dashboard to add value to what you want to see on a daily basis. So you can see that, let me just cover the look and feel as a whole. You can see it's a lot more neater. The menus, we've refined quite a bit. We've gone for a very cool look and feel on our search as well. In here, if you're used to the classic system, we use what's called wildcards. You would need to type, this person here has 4 employee, his actual name is 4 employee. In the old system, you would have needed to go 4, put a percentage sign, and then click search. We've got a very smart search in here. Our goal was, we want to predict what you're looking for. We don't want you to try and hunt to find what you're looking for. So if you type in the word 4, you click search, extremely fast, this one person will come up. It didn't find anything with that. You can even leave out the last letter, click search. You don't need to put in that wildcard anymore, and then he'll still come up. You can then put in a thing, put in a space, put in EMP, and it'll split the word up, and it'll do a smart search between the 2 words that you've put in, and it'll find trends to do that. So it's one of the most widely used search engines that we're using, that we're leveraging off right now. We're not stopping here. At the moment, we're using it for company and employee search. In the future, we will soon put other objects in here. You can search for positions, and all the positions in your company will come up. You can search for adding a new employee, and the new employee screen will come up. So this will become a very, very smart search in the future. Well, not smart, it is smart right now, but we'll just add more objects. It'll become more feature rich. So that's our search that we've got. There's 2 searches. We've got our advanced search on the left-hand side, and then we've got the quick search at the top. All right, at the top, this one we can go for. You don't need to click enter on this one, and your results will then come up real time. The difference between the quick and the advanced one, the quick one is first name and last name, and the advanced one, you've got a lot more fields. You can look up what company is this, am I trying to search within, including terminated employees, whereas the top one is just your quick one, similar to the little one that we've got in the classic system right now. All right, let's go back to the dashboard. I just want to cover more in there. We've got position changes. What positions, what movement have you had within the company? Active employees not paid, reporting line changes. If there's been any pay rate changes, trying to eliminate fraud over there, and any organization unit changes that might have happened within the company that you've currently selected. This is your employee movement widget at the top right. How many new how many new engagements you've got, how many terminations you've had. Compare it between last month and previous and this month, what your termination reasons are, a nice little breakdown. And at the bottom left, this is any large changes that have happened in your payroll between last month and this month, any large variances that can be immediately identified. This is the percentage on the change that has happened, and that's a cool bird's eye on the dashboard. The search I've chatted about. Then let me get on to our API integrations. When we sat 4.5 years ago, this was a major touch point that we wanted to be very powerful on. If you just go back to what Davi was mentioning in the previous presentation, he was talking about digitization, and we wanted to be open to the whole thought of an ecosystem of cloud products. And in order to get these cloud products talking to each other, you need a very, very simple to use, widely used methodology of APIs. What are APIs? What does it stand for? It stands for Application Programming Interface. And it's the way that you interact with our database. Because we've got one database at the moment, all clients' information sits on one database. We cannot offer transparency directly into there because you'll see everybody's information. So we need a security layer in between that so that you can interact with our database. And that method is via APIs. So if you wanted to save anything to PaySpace or you wanted to draw anything out of PaySpace, you will use our APIs for that. We use something called REST services. There's no particular reason that we chose it. It was, if you look at all APIs that exist globally right now, 70% of them are REST. We wanted something that was easily adoptable within your company if you wanted to interface into our application. And it's a very, very easily used methodology. All right, it's quite simple. If you do want to interface into PaySpace, you go to a website called developer.payspace.com. And we've got all of our documentation over there. If you can pass that over to your technical team, they'll know exactly what to do with it. So one thing that I haven't covered, that I wanted to cover at the beginning of the presentation, I'm going to go through all of these slides, and I've left 15 minutes for the end. And any questions that you've got, it could be relevant to the API, it could be relevant to our move onto Azure. You can post it in there, and I'm happy to spend 15 minutes just answering those, give you peace of mind if there's anything that you're unsure about. So you can start those now if you want to. All right, back to the API integrations, talking about this ecosystem, I wanted to show you a good example of one of those that one of our current clients did right now. Let me get there. There's a product called Simply, and Simply sell life insurance to individuals or to businesses, and not just life insurance. They offer quite a bunch of different products within their product suite. And one of the headaches that a lot of companies are experiencing right now is how do you keep the data in sync between a solution like Simply, and this could be anything. This could be a time and attendance product. It could be absolutely anything. I'm just showing you this because it's a good live working example that we've got right now. Let me just refresh this page. Okay, so what they've done over here is you can go and get a quote online right now. You can say, I want it for my business. It's a very quick quote. You could say, I would like to cover how many employees, 30. Very good for the SME market. They are mostly male. They are based in Gauteng. We'll just say on here, the average age, we'll put is 30 years old. They earn 25,000 Rand a month, for example. They're primary in agriculture. Put in your contact number, and you'll go and see your estimates in the next step. There you have over there. You can get them to call you, or you can sign up if you're happy with their quote. If you do sign up online, you answer these quick questions over here. I'm not going to go through all of them. And then you need to add your employees. There's 3 ways that you could do that. You could do it manually. You could do it using a spreadsheet, or you can do it using PaySpace. If you click the upload button, you can log in with PaySpace. This is where that single sign-on comes on that I was chatting about earlier on. One of the advantages as well that was quicker. It's enabled them to easily integrate into PaySpace with single sign-on. You'll put in your username and password, and then when you're done with that, it'll take all the employees within PaySpace and pump them into Simply, and you're live on the system. It's as simple as that. And that took no longer than 5 minutes, and you've got life insurance for all of the employees within your business. One of those nice ecosystem integrations that I was talking about. 2 things enabled this. It was the single sign-on within PaySpace, and it was our API integrations. The other powerful thing about this, because it's single sign-on, is any changes that happen to your company on a monthly basis, if you get new employees, will automatically get fed over to Simply. So your data will never be out of sync between the 2 systems. What your employees, what you deduct, if it's a deduction on your employee's profile, or if it's a company contribution, is what you will pay across to Simply to have all of those people covered. And that will, there will be no disparity between those 2. So that's just an example, one example of many that we could use for the API integrations. Most of our employee level screens that you interact with on a daily basis we will have an interface into. We've even done our attachments. If you wanted to get attachments out of PaySpace or you wanted to add attachments into PaySpace, you can use our APIs for that. All right, another big one that we wanted was our bulk actions. If you're familiar with the classic systems, if you want to do anything in bulk right now, you go to our bulk upload screen, and there's different models you can do different things on. We wanted to unify it and have one methodology for everything and make it extremely simple. I'm just going to log into the system and show you this. So if you want to add employees in bulk, we wanted that to be simple. If you wanted to make bulk changes, we wanted it to be simple. One of the flaws that people thought was in Classic, listening to people, was that they couldn't pre-populate the spreadsheets when they drew them out of PaySpace. They were always blank, and they had to go fill in that information from scratch. So we started off with pre-population in a grid on the screen and within a spreadsheet, just like you do on Classic. This has become more than just a bulk actions tool. It's also become a little mini reporting tool. Data might come in and you've had a meeting with some union and the union wants a mass change to be made, but it must only happen to a certain subset of people. You can use the filter on the bulk actions, click on your little filter criteria. We've got this little filter builder over here. Click on the plus side, add a new condition, show me everybody whose component description, so this they need to have this on their actual payslip, is, let's just choose, hopefully somebody's got this, tracking it over time. Click OK. It'll go and fetch all of those employees that have that added onto the payslip and display it within this grid over here. Then you can make your changes within the grid, or you can draw out a spreadsheet, work with that information offline, and then bulk upload it at a later stage. So that's the pre-population and the little filter criteria that you have on each of your objects. We can change this to recurring. You can do the bulk on recurring as well. At the moment on PaySpace, you might see that there's some objects that we don't have a bulk upload for. Loans is one of them. You can now do bulk changes on here. Garnishes is another one that we don't cater for. So anything that you can do on our recurring screen, you will be able to do in here. There's absolutely no restriction. Working within the grid, I just want to draw some basic information out. Let's go to basic profile. Draw out everybody that starts with. You'll see the filter builder is very similar to Excel. If you're used to working with Excel, we try to go off of that. Most payroll people, Excel has saved our lives in many occasions. Starts with, we can just say B. Give me everybody in the company that starts with the letter B. Nobody. I'm going to just get rid of this and show everybody in the business. I just want to show you how the grid works. So here comes the result sets. At the bottom right, that's how many pages of data you're working with. The cool thing about this grid is it does work in pages. So if you're getting back, and we have tested this in one of our larger clients, they've got 30,000 employees on their system. It doesn't bring back all 30,000, it brings them back within pages. And it was very responsive. It probably returned in 2 seconds. And they paged through, and you can make the changes on all the pages and click save at the end. If you have a look here, I'm going to click on this person's last name, add an S in it. When you click off it, it doesn't automatically save your changes to the database. It just highlights that particular box in green. You can add a W over there, make your changes in bulk. Where there's a drop down, it'll show a drop down. It automatically checks what data type you're working with. I want to change this person to be a coach. Have a look at all your changes on screen. Click the save button, and it'll bulk action them in the background. If you don't want to work in this, like I've mentioned before, you can draw down the spreadsheet. It'll pre-populate all of this information, make your changes on the spreadsheet, drag it to the top right-hand corner over here, click save, and it'll bulk action all of those into PaySpace. Very powerful. When we first started designing this, I must admit I got to a point where I thought, why would anybody work on screen if you can just do it so quickly in this? And the answer is, you can if you wanted to. Screens are just beautiful to work with. Not that this isn't beautiful, but it really does simplify your life if you're working with those bulk transactions. Extremely excited about that one. And then lastly, one thing that we did in our little kitchen which was a great one, was we needed to get this system out to you guys, the end users, as soon as possible. And to do that, we didn't want people to navigate between the classic version and the old version. Can I just see, Tammy, sorry, how much longer do I have here?
You've got a few more minutes, so you can still wow our audience, Clyde. And then there's a few questions I see as well.
Okay, perfect, lovely. All right, so we haven't completed all the screens in PaySpace. There are some that are still on the old, and we've embedded those screens within NextGen. And we're going to slowly start rolling those out. So you'll log in on a Monday, and this leave adjustment screen is one as a good example that we haven't yet changed into a NextGen screen. But we've embedded the old screen within here, so you don't have to go back to the old system. You can enjoy the navigation of the new system, the powerful search, and any other the support feature and all of those that I have chatted about within the new system. But we will very aggressively start rolling these out in the new system. Right, so that's where we're at with regards to a couple of the changes. I could chat about it all day, as you could hear, but let me quickly move along to the most important part that you might be asking. When is this available to me? We have opened it up to some companies. We will slowly continue rolling it out to companies. We do anticipate opening it up to everybody on the 1st of September. Hopefully we can aim before then. I'm a bit aggressive in our deadlines. I'm hoping to have it sooner before then, but worst case scenario, we'll have it open on the 2nd of September. Okay, what are we working on side by side? We've got our NextGen rewrite, which works in its own little parallel swim lane. And well, parallel to that, we've got modules that the little kitchen is working on right now. One of them is the retrospective pay module. If a union comes in and they demand that you needed to make changes to your people, that you need to give them an increase and it needed to be effective 3 months ago, right now you've got to go do a backward calculation on that, or any components that might have been affected as a result set of that change. So basic pay, for example, an employee was earning 5,000 Rand recurring per month, or 5,000, whatever your currency might be in Africa. And you change that to be 6,000. It needed to be effective 3 months ago. And any dependent components on that, like for example, overtime, needs to also be taken into account, because overtime needed to be paid on your base salary of 6,000 Rand, sorry, not 5,000 Rand. We will backward calculate it in the 3 months. We won't change any figures in the 3 months. We will have a delta run in your current month, and we'll post those retrospective figures within this month. Very cool module. I know a lot of our larger clients are extremely excited about that one. Another one is our onboarding module that they're working on. I want you to try and take this slide and separate it in half. We've got the left hand and then the right hand side. On the onboarding, that's any new employees that might be coming to your company. We don't want any duplicate data capturing over there. We want the potential candidates to fill out all the information, and all your HR or payroll department needs to do is click one button, and then it'll onboard them as an employee onto the system. Also a feature that a lot of clients have been asking for, excited about that one. And then we move over to the right hand side, which is all about data. This is one of the things that as a cloud provider, I heard a Microsoft person talking the other day, and he made a statement, and it was, if you're not analyzing your data in the cloud, you're missing the point of the cloud. So we needed to create a real-time reporting dashboard of some sort, or utilize a tool set for this. We've chosen Power BI. It's a Microsoft product. For those of you that haven't used it, I would strongly recommend that you go and download it. It is free. At the moment, you can take our spreadsheets. It can take any data source that you choose, pump it in there, start fiddling with all of your figures. You can also suck in information from your time and attendance systems. If you're running another HR system, you can pull in data from there and amalgamate it and draw up your own graphs over here. The reason that I'm so excited about this, the first phase is for this to read data out of PaySpace real time, so that you don't have to take the spreadsheet and pump it into Power BI. We'll automatically just populate it for you. That's phase number one. Once we've completed with that, we want to create a little community where all HR people can design dashboards that might be powerful within their own environments and potentially start sharing it with other companies. This is where we start talking about open source. You might have heard about it before. Other companies can design their dashboards, put it in here. You won't see their information. You will always see your information, but they've created this template that you can leverage off potentially, and they can leverage off yours in this community to turn your information into powerful stats that you can use to improve on your company. And this is where cloud is going. This is where we want to see our users of PaySpace going. This is where this is a tool set we strongly feel that can add a lot of value in this Power BI community. So that's what we're doing from there. You might be familiar with our current cloud analytics. Very similar concepts. The major difference between the Power BI and cloud analytics is that this will be real time. It won't be delayed by a couple of hours. Then we move on to the bottom right. Our custom web report writer is another thing that we're cooking up in our kitchen. A good example of this would be if you want to write up a contract of employment. If you're familiar with the mail merge concepts, you could draw up a template, drag on a little placeholder within that template to say this employee will earn, and you can put his package in there, his position will be, and you can put the position placeholder in there. Then you can go to the screen where you've written. You can design your own reports. It's a web report writing tool set that we're working on. And just click on the output and it'll output that contract of employment. It's not limited to just this. You can use it for any report that you wish within PaySpace. Right now, we've got our canned reports in PaySpace. Those are like your component variance report is one, your payroll recon is another. Another cool thing that you can use this for is if you want to design your own looking payslip. Currently, PaySpace has out the box. We can create a template that we'll host for you on bureau level. You can inherit that and make changes to that. A very cool feature that we're working on as well. Okay, so that's how we've got to this point. That's what's coming. The next slide is corridor talk. That's where we are at as of today. On the next slide, I'm going to cover what we're talking about potentially tomorrow. At this moment in time, let's start publishing those questions through if there are any, Tam. And let's start answering those. I'm going to cover on what we're doing tomorrow, and I can start answering the questions as well.
Perfect. I'll publish them through to you. There was one that was published so far. I'm not sure if you can see it. Otherwise, I'll quickly read it to you.
I'm going through them. It's okay.
Perfect.
Cool. Let me cover those for the end. All right, let me go to the next slide on what's happening tomorrow. My final slide. Thanks for hanging in there. Hopefully, I didn't get too technical. This is what's, I've got it on the wrong slide. It's because we approved it last week. One of the cool things that's coming in is a chatbot on the outside of our website. There's two websites in PaySpace. There's the one that you transact with on a daily basis to manage your payroll, and there's the one on the outside of the outside is our sales portal, so to speak, which tells you about us and what we do. So we had a chatbot on that one. You would have seen that's the one we launched about a month ago, I think, and we had a chatbot on that one, and we saw that a lot of the queries that were coming through was your employees asking about how they get their forgotten password, asking about how they're registered. And we threw that into our little kitchen and we thought, let's get a chatbot going to help you as payroll and HR administrators, or even as business owners, to stop context switching from these guys coming to you and asking you how to get their passwords. We want a chatbot, a PaySpace written chatbot to handle this for you and to make your employees' lives a little bit easier. We haven't come up with a name for him yet. We'll come up with a nice name, probably have a nice competition for that, thereby eliminating your guys' need to be there for your employees and to have a quicker call to action for them to get the answers that they need. We eventually want to grow this to the chatbot answering questions on how they can apply for leave, where do they go and view their leave. Supporting employees is your job as a payroll and HR administrator. If we can take that burden off your hand and ease your lives to focus on what you need to be doing, analyzing that data to add value to your company, that's where we want to see. That's where we want to see you going, and that's the product we want to give you to get there. Another thing that we've got is the workflowing on any form. This is one that we've built into our architecture from the beginning, speaking towards eliminating data capturing that for you to do. We want employees to capture changes. An example that comes to mind is banking details. Make their changes, but don't commit it real time. Let those changes filter, well, workflow through to all the different departments, and you can set up that workflow within your own company to get final approval where you as the payroll and HR administrator or business owner is clicking one button to commit that to your payroll. So that's something that's coming as well. Working on that. Sorry, just going back to the previous slide, I didn't give when these will be ready. This roadmap on what we're working on today, we want to launch by the end of the year. We don't have a timeline for these yet. They're busy getting worked on. There are large modules, and they are coming. This is just to give you an idea of what we're cooking up. We've opened our doors in PaySpace. We've never done this before, to let the users know what our dev department's working on. And then the last one is the pre-built data insights and artificial intelligence. This is something that we haven't started on yet. It's a department that I personally would love to open within PaySpace. We want to use your data to better your business processes. We want to tell you who's going to leave your business before they've put in their resignation letter. We want to use that data to add value to your business. That's where the world is going. We're using Microsoft Azure to do that, to better your processes, to better our processes, which indirectly better your processes. And we want to use that data that we've got to better your lives and to add more value to your business. Okay, so that's the corridor talk. That's what we're working on. That's coming. That's where payroll and HR is going. And that's it. Let's get on to questions. Okay, one of them that have been published here, is there a migration tool available to assist or reduce take on time for new clients who desires to move historic data from a legacy system into PaySpace? We do currently have one. Contact our sales department. They can maybe give you a demo on it. Very cool balancing tool that we use. So what it does is it outputs the information within PaySpace, and you can map your components from your old system that you were using to PaySpace, and it just helps with that balancing. As far as the on-take onto PaySpace goes, I've showed you the bulk upload. A combination of those two tools will make your life a lot easier in bringing clients on. Is Simply already available to use? Absolutely. What I showed you over there was a real-time demo. It's usable right now. Okay, there's another question here on how do I migrate any data from Classic to the new system? I think I've answered that one over there. What accounting software do you easily integrate into? How smooth and easily is this integration? If none, is there a roadmap? Also, Agnes asked from Magnus. Magnus, we integrate with a bunch of accounting systems. If you go to our general ledger screen, there's a long list of them over there. Some of them are real-time integrations, just like I showed you within Simply. Two that come to mind is QuickBooks. One is QuickBooks, the other one is Xero Accounting. I don't know if you've heard of that. They're making waves in the industry quite a bit. Otherwise, we've got exports into flat files